It's the post-match pint. Today we are in the Motel Bar in Liverpool. Paul Senior's gaff. We're made up to be here. We've had a great time. We've watched the match. Liverpool at top of the league. Liverpool have won 4 out of 4. That's the first time that's happened since Kenny's first reign as Liverpool manager, since 1991. It's the first time we've kicked off a season with 4 wins. That's massive, that's big. We've made a massive statement to the rest of the league, and now it's the international break. But we're buzzing, aren't we? I've got Paul Johnson with me, I've got Dan Morgan with me. You can say it's not the best day and all that kind of thing. I'm just absolutely made up with the 3 points.
100%. I think you just kept that stat from us. I said keep it till we're on here, and I'm absolutely made up. I cannot believe it's been that long since it. And that just shows how big a stat it is, if you want to call it that.
It's a hard thing to do.
Exactly.
It shows that, but it tells everyone a month into the season, these are here to stay.
Yeah.
And the more that narrative gets pushed, the more people just believe it, and the more the players themselves believe it. So you stick around, and it sets something. You don't see. No, we're all touching wood with this, but you don't see this tailing off in the way it has in other seasons. And there's been games in these 4 where, you know, in times gone by, there'd be a draw, and we'd all take a draw, and everyone goes, say a draw is not too bad. Move on from that.
Palace away,
we're not
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Although our record's great there, but you know what I mean. I would say.
But even today, you know, if today suddenly ends up being a 2-2 in seasons gone by, everyone looks at it in the context of you just got a 2 all away at Leicester. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a bad result. Yeah. Now, it's very much 2 points dropped if we lose anything at all. So it's a brilliant start. Long may it continue, and everyone's got to go and do it now, haven't they, today?
Exactly, that's the big thing for me as well. Like, we've played first, we've won, and it's twisted on its head now. It's like, you know, it always seems to be Liverpool plays last and has the pressure on. We've twisted it on its head now. City have got to go and win.
Yeah.
City have got, you know, City dropped points against Wolves. They've looked at what we're doing today and gone shit. And like, Leicester's in our place to go. We've gone and tripped up there before. We got a 3-2 last season, and you know, there was a bit of fortune around that. If we're all being honest, you know, Mignolet makes a penalty save and stuff. And you know, we've got coming up, you know, loads of the lads went today. They went back on the old the bus that we went to Kiev on. I was really laughing at Ian Ryan. He tweeted out a picture of the bus and just put, "Hello darkness, my old friend," which was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, they've all gone today. There's going to be a little insert in a bit of what Neil Atkinson made of the game. He was in the ground, but as I say, we obviously watched it in this bar. But I mean, who stood out for you today, Paul? I mean, you were on the post-match pint the other day, and we didn't get much time to talk about it. You played centre-half. I wanted to ask you then about Joe Gomez. I'm asking you about him now because he's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I think I said to you 2 minutes ago, and I thought he was man of the match.
Yeah.
I thought again he was fantastic. He's, you know, the relationship and the partnership he's building up with Van Dijk. We've spoken about Lovren building that partnership. I think anyone who plays with such a quality player as Van Dijk is going to build it up. However, they've got to bring their own bit to it. And I think, you know, the tackle at 2-0, which, you know, we don't know where the ball's going to go, but you say it's a goal-saving tackle, and the covering, and just his whole-round game.
But easy.
Yeah, fantastic. But the thing about it is that, and we mentioned it off air last time after the Brighton game, was about how he's undroppable. You know, if Lovren comes back and he's fit,
Lovren's not getting back in.
He's not getting back in, and that's absolutely fantastic. He's got his England call, which I know we don't really care about, but it's just testament to how well he's playing. And I thought he was man of the match. You set it up there for me, but I thought his reading of the game, his strength, his positioning, and it's just that relationship he's getting with Van Dijk. Yeah. It just really, it looks like it's something that is gelling. You mentioned that, I haven't watched it, but you mentioned the interview they've done or whatever.
Sky, yeah.
And again, I didn't see that, but you know, it looks like they're having a good banter there and all that. That's a massive part of it, and I think long may that continue.
I actually think today was his biggest test in many ways. Like, I was thinking about it before the game, and especially with how Leicester line up. The 3 they've got, and they do very much play a front 3, and they're very busy. And they're trying to get in behind him all the time, but trying to get in centrally. Now, centre-halves, you know, it's your food and drink, innit? A ball in from wide, in the air or on the deck. If you're the first man, you can get rid of it most of the time. But the way Leicester try to play, little bits over the top for Gray, little bits in behind. They get in once in the first half, and Alisson makes a save. But I thought today was his biggest test, and what impressed me most, and I think it was summed up in the tackle, is that he's thinking 2 and 3 steps now in front of everyone else, and he's able to be on the cover, like you say. And I was just saying before off air that nominally you think of a centre-half partner for Van Dijk as being this front foot type of Vidic-Ferdinand partnership in the past where one needs to be stepping out, the other one needs to drop off. I think with this team, in many ways, it works better that you've got two of them who are able to go, what's going to happen in 3 passes time?
Do the same.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and they can both read it that way, because I think you forget with our centre-halves, they're having to do a hell of a lot, because they're constantly having to tell the full-backs to go. Yeah. And I can't imagine being a full-back in a game and my centre-halves constantly telling me to go. My centre-halves usually telling me to fucking get back
Get in!
Yeah, get in. Stay next to me. And
the game itself then, I mean, like the way the game starts, I thought Leicester showed us a lot of respect initially. Almost to the point that they looked a little bit scared, I thought of us. Yeah. And we started the match fairly well. We have probably three decent chances there. Mo should obviously score there. Yeah. I mean, you know, Bobby's shot, it comes out to him, he puts it wide, you know, you can see how he reacts, that he thought he should have put it in the back of the net. But sort of halfway through the first half, it felt like Leicester went, right, well, I'm going to have a go now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And they turned it up and they had a bit of a go. Second half as well, they come into it a lot more there. I had a quick look at the stats and it's pretty much 50-50. Yeah. Everything though, tackles, possession, shots, everything is right down the middle. So, I mean, what did you make of it? Were you worried? Did you think we were in control?
I think, first and foremost, I thought, you know, when Mo should score, but I also think Bobby should probably do better with his first chance, because, you know, it's a great first touch. He gets his shot up, but he puts it pretty much right at Michael. So that chance goes. I agree with you, Rob. I think we were, for the first maybe 15 minutes, we were in control. It looked like there was one team who were on top. We get the goal. But then in fairness to Leicester, they had a good little 15-20 minute spell there where, although they didn't do anything to harm us, which again, I think that's a testament to us. I think we mentioned it about Palace, you know, after the Brighton game. Teams are going to go to Leicester and are going to drop points.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's two things we do really well in this game in the first 20. If you see the start of the game, Mane is basically chalk on his boots left wing. And I think that really spoils their shape in many ways, because they've said this, it's almost a 4-3-3 in possession that can go into a 4-5-1, but they want it to be really tight in the middle of the pitch and really compact. And you've got two lads down there right, who I think, this was intentional for us, I think you've got two lads down there right who've hardly played any Premier League football before. You've got one making his debut, and they're going, what am I doing about him out here? And that's where the first goal comes from. But I think what we also do really well is we pen them right back. And that creates a problem for the two old midfielders and the two centre-halves. Because basically all Salah and Firmino do is stand the wrong side of their two, Ndidi and Mendy, their two midfielders. And it's that space where no one knows how or who to pick them up. So I think the first 20 in that, I think, were really good. And I think what they do is they get on the ball a little bit and then they manage to press us back a little bit. And our line drops a bit, I don't think we've done much wrong in that game, especially in the first half. But I think we just allowed our line to drop back a little bit too much. If we'd have kept the line high, and I understand they were quick up front and they were pressing, but if we'd have just kept that line high and been brave, we'd have been able to play in them spaces. But I think both of those things that we've done in the first 20 were intentional, and I think it ruins their shape. I actually think their shape's wrong today in many ways, because I think if I was Puel today, I'd have been saying, you're getting behind the full-backs wide, and I'm not talking byline, you know, I'm talking 20 yards into their half, 30 yards into their half. You're getting behind the full-back because they'll be that high. You get one touch out in type of a Mendy type of way for City. You get one touch out your feet and you whip across hard and low and behind the centre-half. That's how I'd have played us if I was playing against us today. But they want to do everything through the middle, which in terms suits us.
And that's what Robertson's doing for us.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's where the first goal comes from, like I say. So I was really impressed by his first 20. Thought we maybe could have pushed high, but then we get the goal on our time, don't we?
Like, with Leicester as well, I mean, I kind of feel like there's going to be lots of almost negative talk about this. We've won, we're top of the league, we've got, you know, we've only conceded one goal in 4 games, all that kind of stuff, but because of the way we conceded that goal, feels like that'll be focused on and there'll be some negativity around it. But also though, we'll come on to the keeper and all that, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I think some credit's got to be given to Leicester, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Like, I thought that the way they disrupted us was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point there, Dan, about the first half. I think their chance comes from because we're a little bit deeper, and the one where obviously he gets in, it goes through Gomez's legs. He's unlucky. Actually, he's on the cover, but Alisson makes a smart save. You've got to. That was a build-up of a little bit of pressure where we kept the ball quite well. But we actually gave it away a little bit. I think it would be an ultra-critical. We could say that we could have kept it better. Yeah. And some of their chances came from us maybe giving it away. but you've got to give them credit because like we just said, other teams will go there and I think will struggle. And I think Leicester, Puel's a good manager, you've got some good players.
Got a good record against
He's got a great
Liverpool
record as well, yeah. And again, and that we said about it earlier about the half-12 kick-off is always a tough game of a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
You know, you think, you know, if we can get a great result, we send the message out to the league, which we have done. So I think in fairness to Leicester, they've set a plan about, and like you say, they look like they were going sort of man for man in terms of the shape. Yeah, the shape. But early goal for us helps us massively. The chances where we have, I think to be honest with you, although they had that spell, I didn't really feel like they were going to score.
No, I was like that.
Yeah, the thing for me is, there's two things for me is that I think 2-0 is intentional. It's not us wading through a game and seeing if we can blow a team away in 5 minutes at times like last season. It feels like 2-0 at half time is a plan. Or at the very least, getting to 2-0 by half time when you're already 1-0 up is a plan. That's a thought out thing in that you almost know that they will come back in the second half and come at us. But we've got 2 goals there that we've purposefully gone and got, and we won't. And this is the thing about us this season, is that it's not this high wire act that we had last season where we felt like we had to score 4 because the other team would come back and score 3.
Yeah.
And it's the case of that, well...
There's a solidity about
There's a solidity, and even to the point where you can go, all right, the keeper's threw one in there, sound, we'll just shut this. We'll just shut it. And I completely agree with you that, I mean, I don't know what Carragher was on about during the game in that second half. He massively overhyped Leicester, and I thought, just watching it, I was thinking, well, that's all well and good, mate, but what do they create? In terms of clear-cut chances in an XG type of way, there's only the Gomez block for me. I don't see them opening us up once one-on-one, and the goal they get given
There's
to
the
us.
Morgan one, isn't he, where he should probably do
Sure,
better.
it's with the cross.
Yeah,
and
and he's not ready for
Yeah.
it, and he doesn't react, basically. But
He should, but we're great after they score.
Yeah.
We're great. The keeper's great after they score. He gets rid of everything. And I think the last 5 minutes in a game, you know, you talk about your DNA as a football fan, if you like, when you're growing up, and what do you dread when you're 2-1 up away from home, somewhere like Leicester? Just the last 5 minutes of the game.
But we did, and we mentioned this again against Brighton, where and Palace, Lallana gives the free kick away, and you think, although he shouldn't do that,
yeah.
but there's almost a calmness. Well, I'm feeling it as a
I
fan,
am.
and I
No,
think
I
we all
definitely
are, where we go, well, we'll deal with this.
yeah, we're all right.
We'll deal with this.
Yeah.
You know, and as you say, they didn't build a head of steam. Carragher, there was nothing that if you look at their chances, okay, the stats, Robbo, you said are fairly similar.
Yeah.
After they score, what do they do? No, what do they create where you think, oh, we're under the cosh here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There wasn't
nothing,
really any
no.
twitchy arse moments, really, was there? Okay, well, Neil was in the ground alongside the other Anfield Wrappers, as I say. They all went down there on the coach this morning, 8 a.m. No way I was making that. I was out last night, as you might gather by the fucking state of me. So here's Neil Atkinson and his thoughts from the ground.
You can hear what it means. Liverpool weren't very good today. Up to 4, it could be the poorest performance, but they've bowled. They've deserved the 3 points off the fight that they've shown. You know what? There's 4 or 5 on the pitch. They weren't great. Firmino, I thought, was poor. One of Van Dijk's poorest performance. Alexander-Arnold wasn't great. But Liverpool are fucking top of the league. They are top of the league. They deserved it. They put the ball in the back of the net. They fought for each other. The goalkeeper, God knows what he's doing. He'll all come out on the watch. All that matters is 3 points, Gareth. We've got all 3 points. Could not be happier. They're all going down the tunnel now. It's been great. A great thing to be at. Liverpool have got themselves the points. You know what? That's all that it matters when it comes down to it. Send them out.
So Neil there from the ground, he's a little bit negative there, isn't he, I think? I mean, I don't know, I thought we were all right. I think our chat's a little bit different from his chat, but that's the beauty of being in the ground and being in a pub and having the analysis and seeing all the different camera shots, I guess. But one thing we haven't touched on yet, and we've got to do with them boys, is, you know, Jacko, he's got too many names. He's got too many names.
I always say Jono.
I know, but his name actually is Paul
Jono,
Johnson.
yeah.
But then Jono's Ben Jono, and he's Jacko, and I don't quite know why.
Another time.
They probably explained it to me, and I can't remember. It was over a bevy. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm drinking Goose IPA. What are you drinking, mate?
I've got a pint of Amstel if someone wants to go and get as well.
Bottle of Corona, because you all seem to obsess about what we're actually having during this show. Like someone was kicking off almost the other week going, post-match pint, you've got a bottle there. And it's like, well, hang on. If I say to you, Jacko, you coming out for a bevy, lad? And you go, sound, yeah, see you in there. And when I get there, and you've got a bottle, I'm not going to kick off and go, hang on, I said a pint.
No.
Don't worry, lads, I'll represent us.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'll represent the YouTube lads.
I'll stop fucking about and talking shit now. So, the keeper does what many people predicted he would do, which is dally on the ball, try and skin an attacking player, and it results in a goal. Are you worried by that, or do you just think it's one of them?
No, I'm not worried. I actually said to me, I was having a conversation with my mate yesterday about it, and I said, he'd be a lot, there's a lot worse things he could do than to just get rid of Everton tomorrow. Because at some point, he's going to try and turn, and someone's just going to stand in front of him. And today he tried to turn, and someone stood in front of him. But the promising thing for me was, straight after, and for the rest of the game, he just got rid of Everton as well. He boomed Everton, he didn't try and do it again. And it's almost like he's got his fingers burnt a little bit. And I think that we did all predict it was coming, and it did come, but it didn't cost us. And these things can kind of become a thing that aren't in your control, in that if in some way, you know, you make a mistake in a game, and everyone makes mistakes at times, if it costs you early on in your career as well, like we've seen with Karius, in many ways, there's times where there's just no getting back from it. It just becomes a thing, and you almost get riddled with bad luck in many ways. It doesn't cost Liverpool today, and we will talk about it as fans, but it'll just get brushed aside and moved on. And if he has 2 good games after this, and it's not a thing, and it doesn't cost us again, then it's just something we're all going to have to cough for. But the one thing I will say as well is that there's an unbelievable take from a corner in the first half, where the balls are about 80 miles an hour. I've not seen a corner get took like that in I don't know how long, and that kind of thing gives me more.
There's a save as well that I really liked. It wasn't like the hardest save in the world, it was just a decent save. But what I liked about it was, I kind of think watching the keepers we've watched recently for Liverpool, that they would have punched it out or they would have palmed it away and he just caught it.
Yeah.
Is it the Maddison?
Maddison where he...
Well, the Gray one's the same. The Gray one's the same in the first half, where he gets in behind and he palms it, but he doesn't palm it back out, because if he does, Maddison's running onto it. He takes it out towards the corner flag. And
the Maddison one, which I think is the one you're talking about, Robbo, where he cuts in, he bends it. Again, he made it look like a simple save.
Yeah.
When it probably wasn't. His footwear was probably great.
Yeah.
He catches it, and it was almost like there's no pressure with that. I also think, going back to the goal, there's 2 messages that come from that, which I think again is great, because other teams then also think, listen, put him under, because if you put him under, he'll make a mistake. Yeah, okay, he's made a mistake, but also you put him under, he turns you. There's a player out the game,
exactly,
and what he can do, what can he do?
Yeah.
And I think that also comes from it. And you know, his reaction, he hits the post in frustration. Yeah. I think he knows, and you know, Klopp looked like he'd be able to go say, you know,
Klopp was saying empty it, wasn't he?
But at the end of the day, we said after Brighton, and you mentioned that we've already said that we knew it was going to come. It hasn't cost us, and the reaction after it, they had nothing. Leicester had nothing after the goal that made you sit there and watch that and think they're going to get an equaliser there, which I think again is a testament to him and also the way we're playing as a defensive unit.
The one thing that does interest me a little bit is that it cuts to Klopp, and he's literally gesturing to like get rid of him. Which I'm thinking, if that's what you want him to do, then you're going to have to tell him that every day in training. You know what I mean? It very much.
Signed a keeper who does that.
And it very much feels like up to now you've let him be that keeper, you've let him be that expressive footballer. So if that's what you do want him to do, it's kind of an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, you got to accept it.
Yeah, you're either going to have to encourage him to do it, or you're going to have to tell him to just swerve it and knock it out of his game. So yeah.
Okay, well, you know, Liverpool, as I say, top of the league, 4 out of 4. All the front 3 are now off the mark. Bobby scored as well now, not as great as day, but you know, he's off the mark, and that's what we want. People can stop criticising him now. We all love Bobby, don't we? So that's been the post-match pint. If you want more of this kind of thing, there is a post-match podcast as well, which will be getting recorded on the way back from Leicester on the said coach earlier. So that'll be out later on. Subscribe to Tour Player if you don't already, and have a listen to that. I'm sure it'll be raucous. I'm sure maybe Neil will be a bit more positive about it by later on, you know what I mean? But that's been the post-match pint. Thanks for watching, thanks to the boys. Up the fucking Reds, we're top of the league.
Top of the league.